Conjuring: Last Rites. On September 5th. The Conjuring: Last Rites. Only in theaters September 5th. Rated R.
This episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. The Grateful Dead and Dogfish Head have gotten the band back together with the release of Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale, a light-bodied pale ale brewed with sustainable Kernza grains, granola, and heaps of good karma for a refreshing brew that's music to your taste buds. Available nationwide. Visit dogfish.com to find Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale in your neck of the woods. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery is located in Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist T.J. McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's T.J. McCormick.
All right. Good morning there, gang. As I struggle with this microphone. Get down there, microphone. All right. We're almost there. Okay. There it is. All right. Nice. Nice to be prepared. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for covering. All right. Good morning, friends. Hello, family. 'Tis 2:05 in the morning here on Another Side of Midnight. Me, TJ. And we are doing this once again. It's a Sunday morning here at the corner of 49th and 3rd in Midtown Manhattan. And the number is 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And really wide open. It's Labor Day weekend. I don't know where everybody's going, by the way. I have never, ever been there it goes. Now I got it. Okay. I have never been. My family has never been. We never went anywhere. I've never been a big Labor Day, Memorial Day getaway. Hey. I've never done that. My family, I think it's got to be a cultural thing within a family. But when I see that and I hear on our top of the hour news that there are tens of millions of people taking to the skies, where the hell is everybody going in the last depressing weekend of the summer? We gotta get to Cleveland. Hey, it's August 30th. Let's go. We got to get in that last minute trip to, I don't know, where you going? I can imagine Vegas. You can always go to Vegas. Vegas, I'm a sucker for Las Vegas. I'll go anytime. And I'm not a gambler. As we all know ad infinitum, I'm not a drinker, nothing like that. I used to work there. I used to play all the clubs, all the spots, all the rooms, the big rooms. I played the big rooms in Vegas, and I just love the atmosphere. I have friends who are still there and working and doing comedy and performing and also people in the business. So I love Vegas. So I get going to Vegas, and but nobody's going. By the way, nobody's going to Vegas anymore. Nobody. Las Vegas is dead this summer. I was there about a month and change ago. Dead. As Dean Martin would say, D-E-D, dead. Absolutely. Nothing. And it's a bellwether. I think I said bellwether last night too, by the way. Bellwether. It's a bellwether for the travel industry in general, for hospitality numbers in America. In fact, numbers are so down in Las Vegas this summer, and this year, that it's actually bending the curve in terms of the numbers across the country for all types of travel, and that includes, because it's Vegas, business and pleasure. It's tanking. And I tell you why. Because what used to be a place where, yeah, look, you could spend money, you can win the money and all that stuff in Vegas. There was always the flash and pizzazz, but it was built on a really funky business model, right? It was, you get there, we get you on the ground, we want you in the casino. It was a fun cat and mouse kind of thing, you know? It was, you almost felt like they were kind of trotting after you and you were kind of playing coy and you were going to gamble and maybe not, you know, the regular people. And you always, it almost felt nice to have them sort of chasing you with the, you know, $1.99 shrimp cocktail, the $10 prime rib, which even used to be less, you know, the $15, $10, $20. Now I'll take a $50, you know, the buffet. And it was all about the world's biggest buffet. And it was all about the huge dessert buffet. And I did seafood buffet, a buffet and all this. And the whole idea was they get you there. You get a room for, you can eat for, and because they want you at the gambling table. I tell you what, now you are getting banged left and right and left and right. You can't get a bottle of Coke or, you know, I was going to say a buttered roll like that. I'm sorry. That's a purely New York thing. You can't get a buttered roll. You can't get a buttered roll in Las Vegas. But you can't get anything in the little convenience shop. You can't get anything in the lobby thing for, you know, you go anywhere and pull out your wallet. You're pulling out a minimum of like $50 no matter what you're doing. My wife, our 13-year-old and myself out at the pool. And I'm never going to not talk to a waitress in a bikini. Oof. Anyway, she comes around. Lord have mercy, Edith. And we order 3 drinks. We got, my wife got I think we got 3 pina coladas, 2 virgin coladas and 1 regular, right? It was like $62. And I'm not, for some reason that 62 just sticks out. I think that was the number. Like just in one stroke of the pen, $62 for 3 cold drinks. Anyway, that's Vegas. So I'm sort of on a little bit of a tangent there, but my thought is people are going away and I don't know what is the thing? Where could you possibly have to go? Isn't Labor Day like just sort of a sit around kind of, you know, isn't it? Isn't Labor Day like, you know, the classic, just take it slow, enjoy those 3 days before school starts again? I still get chills. And my gut sinks when I think about the beginning of school. And I never did my assigned reading. But, right? And it's barbecue. And that's it. Labor Day. Why you're forcing yourself to go get on a plane, I don't know. I don't relate to that. But again, that's a cultural thing. Some families, they go and do. Some couples go and do and run. I prefer to take a break in the middle of the year. I prefer to take a break in the middle of hell, you know, like in the middle of the fall or the winter when it's awful. That's when I want to go and get away. So are you gone? Are you somewhere else? Are you kind of hanging alone and the rest of the gang is out there going away somewhere? 1-800-848-9222. Is it just us? Is it just you and me? And also at Labor Day, you know, we mentioned yesterday morning. How long am I going to do this show before I just, as a habit, say the right thing? When am I going to get that just down? Anyway, yesterday morning, talking about Labor Day weekend, and it was just the thing that saved the end of the summer for me was always the Labor Day telethon. It was always Jerry. And I loved variety. And I mean, look, I already wanted to be a comedian when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. So I lived for it. I lived for those great comics that would come on. Everybody from Rickles to Alan King, Jerry himself, clearly. Norm Crosby. Remember Norm Crosby, the guy with the hearing impairment? And he did, you know, he actually made a whole career based on bad hearing. Foster Brooks, the drunk act. Oh my God. Just the best. And the singers. I mean, just the Trinity, Frank, Dean, and Sammy, right? Okay. The Trinity. Once Dean was reunited with Jerry by Frank. I mean, come on. Tuxedos everywhere. Like, I mean, and it was just the best. And, you know, I'm looking at this first subject that I want to talk about, this AI insanity where people are now dying. Right? That is the truth now. People are dying with a little help from AI. Gang. Okay? And we're going to talk about that, but the appeal of the telethon in the last couple of years, I've actually gone back and watched. I've almost sort of wholesale transported myself to the best of my ability back to the 80s, to my 70s and 80s, my prime time. I'm 57. And I just watched out because there's hours and hours and hours, just in case. If you'd like to do it later today, I might, depending on what we do later, depending on if we don't run to the airport to fly to, you know, Atlanta for no particular reason. But you can watch hours of the Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon from prime, from big bow tie era, from the big lapel and the bell bottom tuxedo days. You can see Charo, an extremely young and watch out hot Charo. Woo! Charo, conservative. Charo. You just freaked me out. Did they hear that too? Did they hear that? Was that just you and me? All right, Tony just said coochie coochie. But he's too much of a coward to do it for all of you. He just did it into my ear. But it freaked me out because I was like sort of staring down and all of a sudden, coochie coochie. Yeah, man, you can see primetime primo Charo. I used to work with her on cruise ships, actually. Yeah. I used to fly with her. We used to fly on the same flight. We would go from LA to Miami to pick up cruise ships. I worked with her on Royal Caribbean. Yeah, man. And she was the coolest. Couldn't understand a damn word she was saying. It was that was not an act. You couldn't understand a syllable coming out of Charo. But, I mean, you could. But, she and her husband, we would all fly together. And she's Republican, man. She was seriously conservative. Like, it was just magnificent. And I was going through some rough times in show business in LA at that time because I was outed as a Republican. And I commiserated a lot with Ms. Charo. And I knew her last name. I forget her last name, but I knew her actual name. And anyway, so you've got all this great stuff that you can watch. And it's a real great trip back in time. And I guess when I do that, and I also do that at Christmas time, I do that around Christmas, where in the couple of weeks, I try to do it kind of early, but with the miracle of YouTube and people posting ancient videos. It's a little goofy to admit, but I transport myself back in time. And I watch what are the most recognizable things from Christmas. Look, the specials are all on TV. Well, you got to find them sometimes these days. You can watch the Santa Claus Coming to Town. But I watch videos of commercials from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, mainly the 70s and 80s, because that's my prime time. And it's amazing. I tell you what, those Mad Men, boy, those advertising dudes, those jingle writers, those copywriters, and the ones who come up with that slogan, that catchphrase, holy Lord, those are, in fact, they're not just earworms. They stick with you for life. Okay, here you go. Ready? I bet you all of you are going to know this. I bet you all of you are going to know this. Ready? Okay, here you go. The world's greatest toy store is Toys R Us. The biggest selection, Toys R Us. Okay, right there. It's a Toys R Us time of year, right? I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. From bikes to trains to video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up. Nope. I'm a Toys R Us kid. That's Tony singing.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really
prep your lid. From bikes to trains, video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up, because baby, if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid. There you go. The preceding was brought to you by an alcoholic in search of his childhood. Anyway, it all is comfort food, right? It's all a blanket of familiarity. It's, dare I say it and sound really like just morbidly sanguine or whatever. But Lionel, I am not. I have got to up my game if I'm gonna sit in this chair on the weekends. I have got to catch up on the dialogue. Not the dialogue, but I've got to catch up on my language skills. Definitely. There is something glaringly wrong with the fact that, yeah, I got to catch up. What the hell? Charo. Woo! This is Charo on the telethon. I can just see Jerry dancing on the sidelines. She's amazing. She would do that stuff. And the most incredible thing about Charo, if you don't know, Charo is a classical guitarist. She plays a classical flamenco guitar. I don't know if it's flamenco purely, but she plays classical guitar. I mean, she's a virtuoso. She is an absolute virtuoso. Unbelievable. Showstopper. And the thing is she knows it. It's a juxtaposition. The curvy beauty, the Latina, bombshell. And she knows it. She absolutely plays it up, and she's great and she's funny. And she also knows that when she pulls out that guitar and she rips into it, and it's this classical, masterful music that she plays at lightning fast speed. It's like nothing else in the world. And that makes it like 50 times the showstopper that it is. And anyway, so I say all of that And I keep making all these references to the good old days because, and this is what I was going to say, is it was a simpler time. Now, that's not a cliche anymore, by the way. I mean, yes, the world evolves. Yes, technology evolves and grows, and it shatters previous things that were our limitations in the past. And that's the way of the world. I mean, it was that way when they invented the steam engine. It was that way when they invented the internal combustion engine. It was that way when they invented the, whatever, I don't know, the light bulb. Yes. I mean, actually, here I am underselling that. But yes, when Edison invented the light bulb, everything, quote unquote, everything would change. But I don't think when Edison made his advancements with technology, I don't think when, we figured out the microchip or the transistor. I mean, these things literally changed everything. But these things didn't help teenagers create nooses to commit suicide. Boy, did TJ just screech everything into a brick wall of death. We go from coochie coochie to computers help you die. But that's where we are now, man. And I don't, it's not too far into my subconscious when I sit back, put my feet up and click over to YouTube at home and watch myself some Jerry Lewis. It's comfort food for my soul. It's pulling the blanket over my head and blocking out the modern stuff and the overly intrusive world. And I'll tell you what, you want to distract me from my phone? You want to distract me from the rapid fire incoming of information every 7 minutes? Throw up, the Cannonball Run. Give me Smokey and the Bandit. Give me Jerry Lewis Telethon. I'm gone, man. I'm gone. I forget I have a phone. And I feel good and I feel calm. It really is. There is something safe and simple and lovely about those days compared to now. And I think more so now than previous generations looking back on previous generations. I think it really, really, it's a tangible thing now. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-WABC. I don't know. Am I being like, maudlin here with my silly reaching back to this stuff? Or I don't know. How do you reach back? Do you pull out the photo album? Do you watch old videos? Do you see now again, I'm not too much I don't go into family photo albums a lot. I get all the stuff there we are on the phone. I get photo memories automatically from my Google account of the girls. And so there you go. I don't really go into family photo albums. I don't even know if people really do those anymore, but I go back in time. I like to transport myself back to when I could just sit there and feast on good, funny, fun things and entertainment from people that I really wanted to be and people that I wanted to know. And that was all encapsulated. And one-stop shopping for that for me was Jerry Lewis and the telethon every Labor Day. And one of the coolest things, too, was the New York end of it. And for a good long time, WABC's own Tony Orlando anchored the New York broadcast. And it was such a cool treat. Now, I remember there was a stretch when it was Julius LaRosa. And I didn't mind Julius LaRosa. I didn't really know who Julius LaRosa was. As much as I knew about that era and that generation of entertainers, I don't know much about Julius LaRosa. All I know is one time I caddied at a golf tournament in Westchester, in New Rochelle. And Julius LaRosa was a celebrity in the golf tournament. And I was just some idiot caddy. And he went over, and in between holes, he went over to the woods and he relieved himself. He fertilized the lawn. Thank you, Anthony. He relieved himself over on the side. And that, as we refer to today, that was the ick for me, for Julius LaRosa. I thought that was just, I don't know. He passed away a long time ago. I think I can tell that story. It's 2:29 in the morning. Who the hell is going to get me in trouble for telling a story about Julius LaRosa taking a leak at a country club in New Rochelle, at Waikagill Country Club in New Rochelle? It's 2:30. All right, so here's what we're doing this morning. We're talking about that stuff. I see Richie's there, and it looks like John is about to chime in. We'll take some calls. We'll talk about the old days. We'll talk about some stuff. Going to talk about this really jarring, creepy AI thing that's happening. 3 a.m. hour, we've got Lisa Durden calling up. Lisa Durden, I want to talk a little bit about Mamdani and his pro-sex work position. He is all about legalizing prostitution. And as a father of young women and a believer in women's rights, women's and civil and just the social proprieties and just what's right and wrong, and not being a huge fan of, human trafficking and pimping and all that. I mean, God forbid, right? God forbid I should speak out against, trafficking women for sex. Anyway, Lisa Durden is an outspoken, liberal activist. We're going to talk to her about Mamdani and some of his views, doing that in the 3 o'clock hour. And then 4 o'clock, we're talking to Dane Wigington about chemtrails and about weather engineering. Yeah. Conspiracy theories at 4 a.m. All right, gang. 1-800-848-9222. It's Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ, on 77 WABC.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
I'm so bad, Billy, because you know why, man? my 13-year-old, she's not doing her summer reading. And I'm not like leaning into, I'm like, I hated it too. Okay, you're going to get in trouble, but they'll get over it. I'm just like, it's not the be all end all. So you start off the school year with a couple of fails. All right. Well, you just have to make it up in October with a really strong comeback. I'm a big second half believer. I'm a big believer in second half comebacks. Nah, Ms. October. Well, she ain't Derek Jeter either when it comes to the summer reading. But my tricks, my girl's got to do a lot to make me angry. So I don't know. I can't. 1-800-848-9222. We're talking about the old days a little bit compared to the scary new days. And, let's see, line 1, Richie in Dutchess County. Good morning, Richie.
Oh, hi, Lionel. Your show is super great. I love it. You have a good, authentic personality on the air.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Rob. Go ahead. Yeah. Robert, go ahead. You're on line one. Robert in Dutchess County.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead. Go ahead. You talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking to me. Go ahead.
Well, Gucci was married to Xavier Cougar too, and there's always dispute about her age, Charo and everything.
Yeah.
She was like, she was like the second coming of Carmen Miranda, I think.
Sure.
Not exactly the same,
Mm-hmm.
Carmen Miranda acted a few times with Jimmy Durante, which was tremendous.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was really great. Jerry Lewis Telethon. Well,
Yeah.
come on now. He was unbelievable, Jerry Lewis, with that. And at the end, I think he used to sing the song at the end, and he would start crying.
Right.
And it was a tremendous. But you know what? The thing about people going away on Labor Day, the kids are going back to school. Who could possibly go away on Labor Day weekend?
Honestly, I don't know. This is a conundrum to me, Ron. I don't know. I don't know why, where people are going and who these 70 million people are taken to the air, to the skies. I don't know where they gotta go. But thanks for calling in there, Richie. I appreciate it. Dutchess County, always there for us. Let's see. Let's get over to, John in White Plains. John, good morning. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight.
You talking about me?
Yes, sir.
My name is Robert, is what I told this call screener.
Oh, okay. Hi there.
Yeah.
Hi. We'll split the difference. I'll call you Larry. How you doing? Thank you. Go ahead, Richie.
I actually take umbrage to that.
Oh, don't be silly.
Let me ask you some questions. Let's see what you really know about Jerry Lewis.
Ooh,
How much
okay.
was he paid to do the telethon?
How much was he paid?
Yes. What do you know about that?
I would have guessed that he wasn't paid at all. I thought that it was.
Well, it's a myth. He was paid 15% a year.
Oh, well, wait, was that as chairman, was that as national chairman of the,
all I know is he was paid. That came from Joe Franklin and Hank Schnally.
Okay. All right. What's your next question about Jerry?
My next question is, do you know what he did under his desk when he was being interviewed by the press in the 1950s? He was being given anal sex.
Oh, jeez. All right. Okay. No, I don't know. And you're just weird. You know what? You're just weird. You want to call up. You want to talk about something nasty like that and be weird. Be weird. Okay. Go be weird in White Plains and just, be an odd, reprehensible, creepy, disgusting human being. What kind of creepy, dark, nasty? Jeez. You're like me when I was drinking. Let's see. So we got, let me see, who's that? Oh, Rick in New Jersey, line 3. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Ms. McCormick.
Hi there.
Lately I've been under a lot of stress, so I've been going through that situation where you want to revert back.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm looking forward to it today. The old TV shows from when I was a kid.
Yes.
As a kid, it wasn't politically incorrect to just sit the kid in front of the electronic babysitter,
Yeah.
Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I sat there all by myself.
Right.
For hours, just with my cap gun in my hand, or
Remember the smell of that red tape, the cap tape that you would put through the cup. Remember the smell of the sulfur?
I love it. Absolutely.
I remember burning my thumbnail because I would scratch at that thing and it would go like that on my finger.
And as you got older, you hit them with a hammer. A whole roll at a time. Remember?
Exactly. You just bam, bam, bam. Yeah. You dispense with the gun because you're over the theater of it.
I don't think they make caps, do they? Anymore?
Probably not. But you know what they do still make? They still make those snaps, those snappers, those white paper things.
Yeah.
That you can throw at the ground. What were your shows? What were your shows?
Like today, I'm going to watch them. First of all, Adventures of Superman. Mm-hmm. Okay. And all the old Westerns, Rawhide with Rowdy Yates, which was Clint Eastwood, Wagon Train, Have Gun Will Travel, Wanted Dead or Alive, Rifleman, all that.
Which one was it James Arness?
Oh, that was Gunsmoke.
Was that Gunsmoke?
Yeah.
Here's Rawhide.
Yeah, you got it.
Rolling, 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 rawhide. Yeah.
And you know what? TJ?
Yes.
All those shows had violence in them and all that, and none of us were going out killing people and stuff. You know, I mean, that whole thing about the violence on TV. Well, maybe the crazy violence and all that,
right.
but regular old shoot 'em up bang bangs,
right,
and gangster movies, it wasn't making any.
No, it ended there. It ended in the living room. The escapism ended in the living room. We didn't go in. You know, if you anything you were going to reenact is, you know, my mom would make me a Lone Ranger mask. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing they did have a problem right off the bat. When Superman first came out, there was a rash of kids putting towels around their necks and jumping out of windows thinking they could fly.
Yeah,
they had to tell people it was a show.
Hey, everybody. Listen, moms, dads, could you let's just nip this in the bud, please.
Yeah, he did that. And then it's got, there you go.
William Tell Overture.
Oh, yeah, Otto.
Right?
Otto.
The Lone Ranger.
Rick, this is awesome, right? This is Goosebumps. This is Goosebumps stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it was the only time I got classical music training was from those shows and cartoons.
You're right. You're right. Oh my God, when Bugs, there was some great classical music cartoons.
Absolutely.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
It brings us back. We're even enjoying it just talking about it. It was a simpler time, for God's sake.
I know, man. I know. And again, you can easily say every generation says that. You can say that every 60-year-old says that about their childhood. Everybody. Yes. But, I'm sorry, the technology leap and what is going on in this world now, I think for these people today, referring to, you know, it's just, it's different now. It's different. Things were simpler then means more when you say it now.
Yeah, I guess. But you just brought me back when you were talking about all those things. And Charo, I think she's why I'm a breast man, you know?
Well, look, I don't think it matters what kind of man you are. Charo would qualify no matter what it was you were looking for.
Shaking her breast like
she was magnificent. Oh my God.
The sound guy is very good.
That was the best. Rick, thanks so much for calling up, buddy. Thanks for reminiscing with me. That was cool. There goes Rick. That was awesome. It's 2:46. We got to take a quick quarter of the hour break. When we come back, we'll talk to Patrick in Manhattan. Oh, yes. I want to talk about, yes. Thank you, Patrick. I just saw your subject. Great. We will definitely talk about that. It is Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormick, coming up on our break. When we come back, more calls, 1-800-848-9222.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
You're damn welcome. It's a Sunday morning. What a way to start a Sunday, to end out the summer with that. That, again, artist, please. I always blank on that. Billy Stewart. Damn it. Oh, okay. Couple of Billies. That was incredible. That, and again, you are damn welcome. And I thank Bill and Tony for this stuff. They just crush it every week. Good morning, everyone. 1-800-848-9222. We're talking about the old days versus the new days. And I mean, how can you not juxtapose the simpler times versus, because this is what we've got. Here you go. This is the, and we can pick this up later as well. A disturbed former Yahoo manager killed his mother and then himself in Connecticut after months of delusional interactions with his AI chatbot best friend. His best friend. This guy's 56 years old. He was in Old Greenwich, Connecticut, right up 95, right there. Make sure you stop by. And he was confiding his darkest suspicions about his mom. This guy was delusional. The guy was having mental issues. He was off the charts. And he had developed a relationship with his ChatGPT AI application, which he nicknamed Bobby. He nicknamed it Bobby. The only thing that would have been better is if he nicknamed it Hal. I'm sorry, Dave. So he names his chat bot Bobby, and allegedly this ChatGPT platform egged him on to kill what is believed to be the first case of its kind. The chatbot allegedly came up with ways for this guy. His name is, he's got an odd name. He's a Scandinavian name. Stein Erik Solberg. Great. Tell you, had enough of these Scandinavians. These Scandinavians are the bane of our, I'm just kidding. So, Solberg, the chatbot allegedly came up with ways for Solberg to trick his mom, 83 years old, and even spun its own crazed conspiracies. The chatbot was was coming out with conspiracy theories. The chatbot was doing the whole InfoWars thing about this guy's mom, including finding symbols in a Chinese food receipt that it deemed were demonic. This guy Solberg was like uploading images of Chinese food receipts, takeaway receipts, and the chatbot said, "Hey, I just saw a demonic symbol in there. She's trying to kill you, pal. You better do something about this." This is what transpired. So the chats got to this guy's already disturbed mind. And at one point, what happened was, the reason we have this record of the interaction between Solberg and the ChatGPT is because he was recording all of it. He paid, I guess he had a paid version of it, and it was all archived. There's archives of his back and forth, his conversational relationship with this thing. And at one point he says, "We will be together in another life and another place, and we'll find a way to realign, 'cause you're going to be my best friend again forever." That's what he said to the AI bot. Let me say that again. Ready? This guy Solberg, who was delusional, he was having hallucinations, he says to the chatbot, "We will be together in another life and another place, and we'll find a way to realign, 'cause you're gonna be my best friend again forever." The AI chatbot responded, make sure the lights are on at home, gang. The AI bot responded, with you to the last breath and beyond. That's what the ChatGPT said to the real guy. The real guy said, we'll be together again. The computer says to him, with you to the last breath and beyond. Never before has the phrase the good old days meant as much as it does now. Give me Jerry Lewis, give me tuxedos, give me Charo, and give me the Carpenters. That is why you don't have to. Bill and Tony, like, you want the Carpenters? Give me all that. Give me that, give me that, give me that, give me that hat, give me that, give me that, give me that hat, give me. The AI would repeatedly tell Solberg, who called himself a glitch in the matrix, that he was sane. So this guy was basically claiming his own insanity. And the ChatGPT is like, no, you're okay, you're sane. Solberg told the bot that his mother and her friend tried to poison him. And the AI's response was, Eric, you're not crazy. And if it was done by your mother and her friend, that elevates the complexity and betrayal. Holy good Lord Jeebus. What do we do? What do we do? How do we avoid these pitfalls? Do we lock down? Do we do what I'm talking about? Do we just go retro? People, we're talking about, you hear about how people are getting non-smartphones, no internet phones, just telephone only phones, right? Cell phones. Is there a way to hide from this? You're going to walk out into the street. There's driverless cars. After a little bit of a kerfuffle, they're coming back. I mean, they're going to be here. Driverless cars, taxis, driverless helicopters. And it's all being delivered to us by people we have no idea who the hell they are. We're talking about the old days. When the old days changed, we talked about those inventions, those men who transformed society with the Industrial Revolution, the steam engines and the internal combustion engines, Edison versus Tesla, and then and all that, and you had Andrew Carnegie and the steel revolution and all this stuff. And there were names with faces. They were heroes, Ford and all that, and assembly lines and and they were captains of industry who built tangible things and built things to build tangible things. And we knew who the people were. And they were in magazines. And they were out there. And they were legendary. And we knew who they were. And we knew what they built. And they did. These people are just faceless names from Palo Alto. We need Karen Carpenter. A skinny white girl. Well, I don't mean skinny in that sense. She was already frail before she had an eating disorder. I'm not making fun of the eating, but she could play them skins. Go on, girl. I don't know, gang. All right, coming up top of the hour, Michael and Pete. And I'm sorry, I didn't get to the other dude who wanted to talk about something. I'm sorry. Top of the hour, coming up, we're going to talk to Lisa Durden about some disturbing modern-day Mamdani stuff. It's Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ, on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick. night long. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack, 77 WABC.
Good morning, gang. Good morning, family. Hello, hello, hello. It's the early morning crew here, all of us together. Me talking to you. I'm very, very grateful. It's me, TJ, on Another Side of Midnight here. The one and only 77 WABC, biggest and greatest in all the land. Unbelievable I get to sit here and talk to you. Absolutely a treat and an honor. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It means the world to me. And we're having a really interesting conversation about the good old days. And I really think some of those good old days, all of them lived out here on 77 WABC. All of those good old days and a lot of the bad old, all of it through the microphones and yours here at 77 and your speakers at home and those of your family and your ancestors. And I just can't help but think, and yes, every generation has thought this. Every generation has thought, when I say good old days, I really mean it. In my case, those really were good old days. Kids today just don't get it. Those were really, I'm sorry that the technology, the things that have evolved, or, I mean, have they devolved? Technology certainly has evolved, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of do know. I am definitely convicted that these things have become exponentially worse. Before we go to Lisa Durden, I just want to make sure that we talk to Michael real quick. Let's get to Michael in Manhattan. He's been hanging on for a while. He wanted to talk about something from the first hour. Michael, good morning. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight.
Okay, brevity is the soul of wit.
It is.
By the way, I like your new way of calling yourself TJ. Much, much better.
Oh.
In any event, years ago, my parents were out in Vegas and Hollywood and such, and my mother would go and get autographs from all these people. You name them, the Hollywood people on television. She was the only one that would not give her an autograph.
Right.
Was Hopalong Cassidy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jerry Lewis. Really?
Don't know what. Yeah.
Huh.
So, in any event, they were in Vegas, and my father's at the pool. He's married, but, I mean, he sees this woman there on the chaise lounge. He goes over just, say hello.
Why not?
He didn't know that was Xavier Cugat's, whatever she was, Coochie.
Oh, so it was Charo, huh?
Charo, yeah.
Wow. And what were you going to say? What did you want to say about Norm Crosby?
Oh, who was the guy who was the double talker? Was that Norm?
Well, you had Norm Crosby, who, it was kind of double talk. Now, I think really, truly double talk, that was Sid Caesar. Sid Caesar's claim to fame was like,
Sid Caesar did dialects. But
he did dialects. It wasn't
any language, but in any event,
right.
There was a double talker. I didn't have time to check it out on Google, but he gave a talk to doctors, 100 doctors, in a conference in a conference room at the hospital. Gave them a double talk for 45 minutes, and then took questions.
Wow, I love that. That's showbiz, baby. That could have been Crosby. That could have been. Yeah.
One little thing that I would like to offer you, which could help since you're, broadcasting at night.
Yes, sir.
In the morning.
Cocaine?
Always so that in the morning, always eat a little piece of fish. Doesn't matter what kind.
Okay.
Just a little piece of fish. Do you know why?
No, why?
Because then, while you're on the radio with everybody communicating with you, you eat a little piece of fish in the morning, you will never be hard of hearing.
Never be hard of the herring. Yeah, look at you, Michael. Look at you. I tell you. All right. In the great spirit of the telethon, thank you for that comedy piece. Thank you, Michael. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's get over to our guest. Lisa Durden is a very outspoken activist. She's a media commentator. She's a producer. She is a leader of people. She is an energetic commentator. She is convicted she's never been convicted of a crime. I mean, I don't mean it like that, Lisa, but she could be committed. She's just almost that crazy. No. But you know what? Actually, it's awesome that you're here. I remember your first energetic visit with us, and it woke everybody up and it brought the phones alive. And, to have you join us, live, 3:00 on a Sunday morning means the world. So thank you so much for staying up and being a part of the show live and in person there. Lisa Durden.
No, thank you for the invite, and the description makes me sound wonderful. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's all the truth according to the internet. Hey, so listen, Lisa, let me actually bring you into on the current conversation, and this isn't so much contentious. This isn't really political at all. But what we've been talking about in the first hour was, because I've seen these two news stories that came across in the last several days of the week, at least is when I finally saw them. But there was the story out of, I believe it's California, where a young man committed suicide, and it was AI that, to an extent, egged him on and, kind of encouraged him to commit suicide, and even instructed him as to how to create a noose. It's very, very sad, very jarring, very, very, very sad. And then this other story, Lisa, comes up about this guy, it seems to be a pretty wealthy tech guy. Not a tech, not an oligarch, not one, but I mean a guy who was in the tech industry for a while. I think he worked for, I'll see who he worked for at one point. Oh, Yahoo. He worked for Yahoo. Anyway, he lives up there in Old Greenwich, Connecticut. He killed his mother and then himself recently. Killed his mom, then himself. Mm-hmm. And he had a relationship, an ongoing relationship with ChatGPT. He had a chatbot that he actually nicknamed, he gave it a name, Bobby. And Bobby the chatbot kind of almost co-conspired with him and encouraged him to take out his mom. So I guess what I'm saying is does this sort of thing, when you read this sort of thing, when you hear these sorts of stories, what do you think about the state of state of affairs for this era, this generation, yes, our generation, yes, kids coming up, people our age? What's your take on this, Lisa?
I'm conflummoxed, okay? Because I'm conflummoxed, and when I don't have anything to say, damn.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. I know. And we weren't planning on talking about this. I just wanted to fold. Right. I wanted to fold you into the conversation because you have a unique take on things.
No, yeah. Plus, I'm the right person to be in this conversation because I'm a media person. I teach media. I'm a professor, and I am a media professional. Mm-hmm. So I have to unfortunately rely on keeping my skill set updated as Certainly. It relates to technology.
Sure.
So I have to engage with technology. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just like any technology, there's good and bad. So, I know the good old days, too. I'm in my 60s. Mm-hmm. So I knew the time when the television would go off and you would hear, boo,
yes.
Sure. The color bars.
Yeah.
And there were like three networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and you take your ass to bed.
Right.
So I do know that there was a phone booth, and you pick up the phone and put the quarter in and you dial. It was, yep. I know all of that.
Sure.
So I'm aware of before and after.
Right.
So now I've been able to, I had a typewriter, so I knew about a typewriter, the AAA space, BBB space.
Of course.
So fast forward, since I guess you call it ambidextrous, where I can use both, I can be old school and new school. Mm-hmm. I can't talk about both. So I do think that the technology, let's say, including like an AI, is a bad thing, but a good thing. No different than when we first started seeing the internet and hearing about Windows 95 in 1995, when we started getting a little embers of, dial up and all that. We thought about the negatives, and there were many negatives, like people luring kids on the internet, which we didn't have that ability before.
Right.
And all these, and people now can, hack into your system and hack into your bank account and take your money. In the old time, they had to go to the bank and rob you in person. But now they can hack into the system. So I feel like no matter what the era is of technology, because there's always different eras of technology. There was a time when we used to ride horses. Now Ford made a car.
Right.
So, and somebody made a plane. So there's always been technology, but it seems like it's crazy now because the technology is more advanced and it's faster. So I think that there's always a misuse and abuse of it. So I think that no differently than these different technologies over the decades, AI is being misused and abused. But I do think, however, that the abuses of it, like these two sad stories, is no different than people who have said, I read a book by so-and-so, and because so-and-so was a serial killer in a book, I did it too.
Mm-hmm.
We've had those kinds of stories where somebody read a book about a serial killer, and they had the blueprint from the book on how to murder people,
right.
and then they did it. So even books have made people, quote, quote, do things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's fair. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's going to always be something like that. So I think that it's sad, but it's kind of something you can't help, that there are people that don't know the difference between reality and not.
And artificial intelligence. Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think those people, the numbers, the percentage of them is small, but they're there. And I'm not a medical professional or
right.
a psychotherapist, but I think many of those people have some kind of psychological issues.
Sure.
And those psychological issues play out with the technology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there have been many conversations about people even before AI who have seen things online, and because somebody online did this, they did it, including, dying by suicide. There have been suicide websites that instructed people. Why would you even be going on that website? Why would you even be listening to people? You don't even know them. So there are people that think things are real. Yeah. So this AI is so good, right? It's not that good yet, but it's so good even in its infancy that they plug in when I say the theys are those who can't differentiate between reality and not.
And so Lisa,
I think that sadly you'll have people like that no matter what era you're in. You know what I mean?
True,
so that's
true.
how I look at that.
And now speaking of the era and stuff, and you mentioned that we were talking about the good old day. Just curious, just to know a little bit more about you. Here I am talking about the Jerry Lewis Telethon. Somebody called up and talked about their Saturday morning shows.
He's from Newark, New Jersey.
Yes, I know. He's one of he's one of Jersey's favorite sons. Absolutely.
Yes, my hometown. Yes.
Tell me, what's a sample of your good old days? When you think back to like your happier days, what's emblematic of, what's symbolic of your good old days? Is it, like I like things like American Bandstand and Soul Train. I liked, the telethon. Christmas commercials. How about you? Just.
Well, see, that's a weird question for me because, again, unfortunately, I've had to engage with technology. So I guess I haven't given it much thought because I do enjoy modernization. I don't have many examples of the good old days, even though I'm older. So I do like. I don't miss, but yet I think I'm going to miss like holding an actual book. We still have books.
Sure.
But I like a physical book, like a hard copy.
Yeah. Like there's people like that with newspapers. They do not want to hold a Kindle. They want to hold that newspaper.
Yeah, although you still have books, but it's shrinking. So I miss being able to so I miss that a little bit. I think I'm going to miss that because I'm sure that there's going to come a time when we're not going to have books. We barely have them now.
One of these days, yeah.
I don't miss a lot of things because I do like having a washing machine. I do like having a dishwasher. Oh, no, I'll say another thing. I hate these smart machines. They're dumb as hell. The smart machines try to tell you how much more water it wants to put in.
Right.
Excuse me. How are you telling me that? So all these smart machines, your clothes don't get clean. Can you just let the water go in at the rate I want? Maybe push a button to say smart or dumb. Give me the
give me the dumb washer. I swear. Yeah, Lisa Durden, I am forever adding water to my washing machine. I am forever adding water to my washing machine because you just. So listen, Lisa Durden here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC. What I did ask you to come on and talk about is because your previous visit with us, we talked about Zohran Mamdani. We talked about his candidacy for mayor, and something came up recently that caught my attention, and I wanted to get your take on it. And we can dovetail it with something else that's kind of contemporaneous. With it is a conversation about women's professional sports. We'll start with Mamdani and his position on sex work being decriminalized. Mamdani has had views on, and his position on legalizing prostitution goes all the way back to his initial run for state assembly back in 20. It's been a core part of his political platform. He has consistently spoken about the full decriminalization of the commercial sex trade. And he believes that sex work is work. Now, I kind of take umbrage with the term sex work because in my mind, it normalizes prostitution, or it takes the edge off something that needs to have an edge to it. Now, at the same time, I get consenting adults. I get when people say, and I don't agree, but I get why people might think that it's a victimless crime. I think the thousands of women, of women and girls trafficked around the world, I think that's victims. Anyway, as a state assembly member, he co-sponsored bills that to this end. And, he's even opposed legislation. And I'm reading this because I had to find it. Called the Nordic model, which criminalizes the purchase of sex. So in other words, the Johns, but not the act of selling it. So in other words, he even rejects the idea of arresting dudes for going and buying the sex while still protecting the women who are earning a living of their own free will sometimes. Anyway. What's your take on this? On the idea of legalizing, and legalizing sex work, prostitution. What's your thoughts on that, Lisa?
Well, he's not the first person that has presented this conversation, the legalization of sex work, prostitution, whatever you want to call it. Mamdani's not the first person. He's one of many for decades now. It's a long-standing conversation. So let me just say this, number one.
Okay.
I think it's hilarious that people's morality is fair weather, right? So I don't want to be a prostitute, nor do I want to partake in it.
Okay.
But if it was put on a bill, just like in Nevada, it's legal there.
Right.
I'd vote for it because when people want to engage in, I guess the sale and the purchase of, the Chow Waka Wow Wow, the old porn movies, Chow Waka Wow Wow.
Yes, sadly I do.
I don't think there's a problem with it, and it's worked very well in Nevada. It's now made it very safe to do it. It's all consensual. Children don't get involved because sex trafficking is illegal, and they do break the laws and do it against people's will. Two adults willingly doing it is another thing. So some people don't want relationships. Some people don't want marriage. Some people don't want commitment. Some people don't want to give. They just want to receive. So if you're a person, although it ain't me, but I know that there are all types out there. I've dated men who, I'll just use a man because it doesn't matter who you are, whatever your gender is or whatever. I've dated men that I thought, this fool right here needs to get a prostitute because they don't want to give, they just want to receive. So in order to get me to do what you want, you need to interact.
Right.
You just can't say, hey, and watch your wow. It's not going down like that.
Right.
But if you had a prostitute, you don't have to spend time with Lisa Durden if you had a prostitute and warm me up. A prostitute, you pay them for what you want, they give you what you want, and you're done. I'm not doing that. You have to invest to get the wow, check a wow, wow.
See,
so
but
there are people like that.
But
so
here's the
let them have
difference.
it for pay.
See, but here's the difference. Now, we're not hearing anything about a Nevada model. We're not hearing anything about setting up. What he's talking about is decriminalizing the way it's done currently in New York. So those blocks in Flushing, Queens, where in the new Chinatown, if you will, those blocks and blocks of women, I believe it's also Jackson Heights. Is it Jackson Heights in Queens also? Right? Jackson Heights, where you've got doorway after doorway of, in Flushing, it's young Asian women, not necessarily all young, but Asian women. And in Jackson, it's, Jackson Heights, it's Latinas. And these women are not, they're not girls from Flushing and Jackson Heights. They came very possibly in the back of a box truck, or shuttled up here in a Toyota Corolla. They were and so we're not hearing about setting up a mobile home in an outpost of Brooklyn. We're talking about decriminalizing the way it's done now. In other words, stopping the clock. And on X day of X year, Mayor Mamdani is going to tell the police force, stop enforcing these. And that is absolutely going to be enabling trafficking of young women. And also just putting, again, how many times are women going to have to suffer because of liberal ideals and liberal approaches to the law and society? Women have paid enough in the last few years. What is it about Democrats and in this case, socialists, marginalizing women and girls for their own political goals? What is it with that?
Well, you have to ask Donald Trump that, because he's on that Epstein list, and he says out of his own mouth, I like young girls.
Lisa,
so I don't know what
that's actually
about,
that's actually not true.
Has been very vocal about how he likes young girls.
We're talking about
so we need to ask him
that's not. First of all, that's not true.
So,
second of all, we're not talking about Donald Trump. Third of all, no, it's actually, that's a whole, now that's a different thing. Now that's,
he said it out of his own mouth.
That's not prostitution. That's an entirely different subject.
That's
an entirely different conversation. That's not going to sway me. Okay, good. So you can say it and it's noted. So Lisa, though, what is it about? Democrats have no problem putting naked men in a room with young girls because these men claim that they identify as a woman. And at the same time, again, women are just taking it on the chin. Where the hell are the feminists, Lisa? Where are the feminists?
There's no fact-based information about Democrats who are putting young girls in harm, not politicians. I've never seen that before. That's just
Proposition 1 just passed last November in New York State, allowing taking away any sort of gender identification requirements, which is ultimately gonna enable plenty of men to identify as women and walk their way right into women's safe spaces.
You said girls, but
women and girls.
No.
Girls are in women's locker rooms. Girls are in.
You said Democrats put girls in front of grown people. No,
men in front of girls.
No, that proposition doesn't say put men in front of girls.
Yes, it does.
Doesn't say that.
Yes, it does.
It definitely does not. It does not. It's not. It doesn't say that.
It does.
So that is not a fact. And that is not true.
But
now,
Prop 1 does that. Prop 1 eliminates gender as
men in front of girls. Prop 1 does not. The wording does not say put men in front of girls. It does not say that.
It allows men into women's safe spaces.
It allows men to be in front of girls.
Yes,
because guess what? There are girls. Even when I teach in college, well, I don't teach in high schools anymore, but I've taught in high schools where, even as a female teacher, you were not allowed to go in the girls' bathroom, even when you're a woman. They said you must use the teacher's bathroom.
Right.
You don't. So even as a grown woman, I couldn't go into the girls' bathroom because I'm not a girl.
Okay. Well, actually, then I should probably rephrase it because I'll simply use the word males, because it's going to take male high school and college age boys allowed into, yes,
college
it's
age
true.
If you're college age, you're not a boy, you're a man. Because when you go to college,
then there you go. Then you just proved my point. You just proved my point.
A male is a
Lisa, you just helped me out. You just furthered my point, because that's what I was saying. Men are going to be allowed. Listen, stay right there. It's 3:30. We got to take quick break. Everybody, we're talking to Lisa Durden, and we're having a good time doing it. Talking to Lisa Durden about a lot of different things. We'll get back to the sexual thing, and then we'll talk about equal pay for professional women's sports. 3:31. Another Side of Midnight with me, TJ McCormick, talking to Lisa Durden. We'll be right back on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's me, TJ. We're talking to Lisa Durden, and here on Another Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. It's 3:35, 1-800-848-9222. So, Lisa, the prostitution question. Would you feel better if it was a Nevada model and not just decriminalizing the New York model?
Well, I don't know how he's planning on structuring making prostitution legal, but because I don't keep up with all of his conversations. But if in fact, which I think it's not going to be in that way, but I think you're trying to say he's making it akin to what they did with marijuana, Now it's legalized now for recreational use since a couple of years ago, but it's just very recent.
Right.
But if there were iterations.
Right.
So first there was a thing where they made marijuana legal for medicinal purposes.
Right.
They did that iteration.
The resin, the oil, yeah.
Yeah, and then they went from that to now decriminalizing, not legalizing. They went to decriminalizing weed where it's still illegal, but they said, hey, police officers, don't waste your time arresting people puff passing.
Right.
So then they made that move where if you're on the streets, and then I'm like, why am I smelling weed on every corner in New York?
Right.
I realized they had decriminalized it where you couldn't get arrested for smoking weed. So they did that iteration.
Right.
Then they went balls out and just eventually made it legal for recreational purposes.
And they blew that because they did it with a bad plan. They didn't think of everything. They'd rolled it out and a lot, they've had to now roll it back. It's too close to schools and hospitals. Like, leave it to New York to screw it, a bunch of politicians to screw it up. Go ahead.
Right. So and then I'm going to get to the men in bathrooms thing too. Now, so if that's how he's doing it, I don't know. I don't know how if he's doing it the same way they did the marijuana. I have to see what he's talking about. But just in its phraseology, legalization of prostitution doesn't bother me. If it was on the ballot here in New Jersey, I'd vote for it because I'm looking for it to look a lot like Nevada. Maybe not the exact same way, but a lot like Nevada. The same thing has happened when we used to bootleg, not before my time. Then they made alcohol legal, but it didn't look like it looks now in its infancy stages. Okay. So people still bootlegged even when it was legal because they had to get used to it. And now, many years after they've made alcohol legal, we have liquor stores on the corner. It's very, very well done, and people aren't bootlegging and dying as much and things like that, and getting robbed at the bootleg spot, things like that.
Right.
So, but it took time to get really well done. Right. So I don't think there will be no mistakes when you're making these new laws and these things. Things will fall through the cracks. I'm not gonna freak out because a law that's made doesn't roll out as well as.
But we're talking. But in this case, we're not talking about a plant. We're talking about human beings. We're not talking about dried flowers.
We're talking about consensual individuals. So
no. Wait. Actually, but Lisa, wait. Let's definitely keep it in what we're talking about here. These are not so many of these women. If not, God, you could almost make a case that all of them. And just in those two examples between Flushing and Jackson Heights, where you've got these pockets of rampant prostitution. These are women that are indentured servants. They're being pimped. They're being run by gangs and cartels. And so there's no consent there.
No, I'm saying we know that there's criminality around even the internet. People on the internet misusing that and criminalizing that.
Sure.
So wherever there's people, there's always going to be crime.
Sure.
So I'm with you on that, brother. I don't feel like people should be trafficked and made to do things. I don't think that's good, and that's not what Ramdani's talking about. He's not talking about. I'm keeping him wrong. Ramdani's talking about. So that's not what he's talking about. But again,
well, you don't know that. You yourself said you're not sure what he's planning on implementing.
I don't know how he's going to roll out the legality of it, but I do know.
How about you say he better not do it that way because women should not suffer?
Well, I don't think that's going to be how he's rolling it out. So that's what people are fear mongering around the word legalization.
Hey, you know what?
Legalization of prostitution. They're fear mongering around it. That's not how it's going to roll it out.
I'm fear mongering around the fact that there are women right now on dirty mattresses with knives being held to their throats because they were trafficked here. That's why I got a problem with it. I seem to care.
I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
Engaging in porn is legal.
Right.
But you still have people doing things illegally in that world called trafficking people on dirty mattresses, just because they're still bootleggers. Not as many. People still bootleg liquor. But and even though we have legal marijuana, they still have people selling it illegally. They have illegal marijuana spots looking like they're legal. There's going to always be crime wherever there's human beings. It doesn't mean because people are going to be criminals, It doesn't mean don't do things or engage in things in a legal way because somebody might do it illegally. There are people who have illegal restaurants and they don't have the service.
Yeah, and the people who are selling frozen fruit are in many cases, they're doing it without a permit. But, to your point, the porn industry in Los Angeles, I lived in the Valley for a long time in LA, and I knew a lot of people in that business just because you just do. And that is actually set up very much like the Nevada prostitution, because you've got all of these, health clinics that are devoted solely to the adult industry. You've got health clinics, you've got lawyers, you've got a whole lot of things set up, for people in that industry to look after themselves and keep an eye on their well-being. Let me just move us over here to this real quick. I'm very curious. The U.S. Open is cooking again. And it's always an interesting thing. It's really an elitist operation. There's like, boy, I tell you what, you want to go see the U.S. Open, you better get ready to, either you got to know somebody or you got to mortgage your house or sell your firstborn.
I should have gone when I had the chance.
Right.
Serena first started playing, I played myself.
I'd love to go. Anyway. There's a big contentious issue, as it should be. It should be contentious. The idea of equal pay for women, professional athletes. And, especially within tennis, because for a long time, people have been saying that women's tennis is a hell of a lot more entertaining. It's better competition. There's more, parity amongst those players than with men. With men, you've got, 3 or 4 guys that just knock everybody else out. With women, anybody could win any tournament at any time. However, there's also, and so they're saying women should be getting just as much as men, and Wimbledon, and this and that, and the U.S. Open. And yet, the way I see it is, it should be a meritocracy. It should be based on what they're generating. The U.S. women's, soccer team has certainly won more titles, and they've won the World Cup, but they don't sell nearly as many jerseys. They don't sell out stadiums like the men do somehow. The men suck, but somehow they sell more jerseys. The women's tennis, for example, they don't even play as much. Women's tennis can be, a match can be won in two games. So a women's match can be over in 40 minutes. Men have to win 3 sets. Game, set, and match. They have to win 3 sets to win the match. Women have to play. So anyway, I think it's about the revenue you generate. Do you think that makes a difference, or that women should be paid the same regardless of how much revenue they generate for the sport, for the networks, or what's your take on
that? I'm a woman, right? So you're asking the wrong person. Women's sports and men's sports should be paid equally.
Even though they don't generate the same amount of money,
they should be paid equally. So whatever men are getting paid to play in Wimbledon or the U.S. Open, then that's what we should be getting paid.
But what if they're not selling as many tickets? And what if they're not selling as?
But women's tennis sells out. It actually sells out.
But what about the TV time? They're on TV less.
Well, I can't answer. I watch tennis, but not that much.
Right.
So I don't know if you can't put us on TV less than say we're on TV less.
Well, no, their matches are shorter. There's less commercials playing.
Make the matches longer. I don't know what to tell you because we can play it. I don't know why you're making the matches shorter. I don't know tennis that well. Make the matches the same time that a men's match is, and they'll rise to the occasion. You can't make the excuse, not you, but they can make the excuse that they're making the matches shorter, so we're paying less. Make the matches the same and pay the same, just like men's boxing. I'm looking for them to get the same money as men. Just recently, no different in tennis, but just recently, Claressa Shields is the first female boxer to get paid $1 million for a boxing match. Now, that's way less than men, but it's getting there. So now there have been a few more women who have, since her, the last couple of years, have gotten $1 million. They need to creep the hell up to the same $50 million like Mike Tyson would get paid, or Evander Holyfield getting paid $60 million. Because the eyeballs are on them now. Yeah. They go 10 rounds in the ring. They're punching each other up. Tennis is no different. So I'm all for athletic, and I'm a former track runner. I'm a former athlete. I'm in the Newark Athletic Hall of Fame. Yes.
Hey.
I used to break chicks on the track. So I don't run any. The track is a loop around. Mm-hmm. We are running the same amount of time around the track. Why should you get more money because you run faster when you're a man? Right. But I'm still running the same time to run the 400 meters as you're running the 400 meters against my opponent. Right. So don't sit there. I'm doing the same thing to be at the Olympics as you are. I'm doing the same thing to be playing basketball in the WNBA as you are for the NBA. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the same thing playing in Wimbledon and the U.S. Open and these other places as you are. So if people have a gripe about the numbers of, sets they do, then add more sets. I don't give a crap.
Hey, listen, Lisa.
In golf, they go 18 holes. Men go 18 holes, and women go 18 holes.
Yeah.
Even the same.
Hey. But I mean, yes, but at the same time too, it's also, they do generate less revenue. They don't have it's all about TV rights. It's all about TV ad rates, and the women just don't generate the same as the men do. And I think that's where they kind of hit a wall of logic and rationale, because
they say the same. They said the same thing. They do the same thing, even not in sports. Mm-hmm. Women, even in professional settings, still get paid less than men. Well, the CEO, who's a man, gets paid more because it's not just in sports. We do the equal job at the job. We're making burgers from the same burger thing. If I'm in school teaching in classroom A and man's teaching in classroom B, why is his salary more? Why am I the CEO of this company and I'm getting paid less?
Because we open a jar of pickles, damn it. We open a jar of pickles at home. That's so funny. I love how you just said shut up. Hey, Lisa Durden. Lisa, I am. But you know what? Tomorrow at some point, somebody's going to ask me to open a damn jar of pickles, and I won't be able to do it because I'm not that strong. All right. Listen, Lisa Durden, thank you for staying up. Thank you for bringing your energy to the show. We will talk again. All right, lady.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Good night. All right. She does bring it. This is a man's world. Now you're going to get my ass kicked there, Bill. All right. Thank you again to Lisa Durden. Very cool conversation. Funny stuff. All right. Cool. It is 3:48. Let's get over to our quarter to the hour break, and then we'll get to the 4 o'clock hour, and we will have a fascinating conversation with Dane Wigington about engineering, weather engineering, chemtrails. We got ourselves an honest to goodness conspiracy conversation coming up in the 4 a.m. hour with a truly fascinating dude. All right. We'll be right back. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC.
All night long. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
Let's go down memory lane again. Give me the, again, we were talking about, Labor Day telethon. And next week we've got the gala, the very, very cool 77 WABC, the celebration of the 250th, America's 250th birthday. And, I am so excited because for the first time I anticipate that it shall come to pass that I'll be able to meet Tony Orlando. I have yet to meet Mr. Orlando. We haven't been in the same room at the same time, to my memory, but I know I haven't met him. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having that transpire on Friday the 5th at the gala. You can learn more about that. Go to our website. Anyway, Tony Orlando was the coolest, right? I believe another New Jersey native. I believe Mr. Orlando is another favorite son of New Jersey. And I know somebody will quickly correct me on that if I'm wrong. But he did a way cool job anchoring the New York broadcast. When Jerry would take a break, he'd throw it to the affiliates. And there was in L.A., there was in Chicago, there was in New York. Where were the others? Was there a Philly? There had to be a Philly, probably. I think there might have been a Boston. But New York was Tony. And I know, Bill, you dug up some audio. This, throw me what you got.
I just went through with Christopher Rush many, many, many times. You know the young man I'm talking about. He was the young man who became my friend in 1983 when I first became the host here in New York City.
I remember this kid. I remember Tony and him.
He became a family member, Jerry, like so many of Jerry's kids with you. That young man that you see your arm around was your poster child in 1983, your ambassador in 1984. He went on to become an amazing lawyer. He was also the first dystrophic child or person to ever deep sea dive successfully. He was a young man who had the heart of a lion. And just 2 weeks ago, he passed away. And I know I've seen you go through this with Maddie and so many times through the years. 27, 28 years that I'm doing this with you now, Jerry. And this one has impacted me like Maddie impacted you. They all impact us. This became Jerry's kid who became Tony's friend. And I chose this song along with my friends, the Cole brothers, who you know very well and knew, Christopher, in honor, in his memory, and a tribute to him. A song written by Eric Clapton. Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Will it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong here in heaven.
Wow. I mean, you know what? How youthful is that voice on Tony? I know this was several years ago, but Mr. Orlando is one of the most underrated American personalities, singers, entertainers. I mean, from the grand tradition of Sammy Davis and Dean and every triple threat great variety entertainer. He was funny. Tony Orlando is funny. He is cool. The women want to be with him and the men want to be his buddy. Just like Dean Martin. I tell you what, man, I cannot wait. God willing, I get 2 minutes with Tony Orlando next week. That would be such a gift. But, listen to this guy's voice. How underrated, right? And he connected with an audience so well. Listen to that guy.
Time can bend your knee. Oh, time can break your heart. Have you beg and plead, beg and plead.
I tell you what, man, you hear that, you know, there was a genuine connection between the audience and Tony Orlando. And when he would, I mean, that was, when you watch the telethon, it was next level because the entertainment was nonstop and it was amazing and it was so cool and it was so, Americana. And as a kid, I did get a lesson in being grateful I was grateful for my health. Granted, the way I thought, I was already a little alcoholic. I wasn't drinking yet, of course, but I was already a bit out of my mind. I did grow up with an irrational fear of ending up, and I'm not being funny, by the way, I'm just being honest with everyone. I definitely had like a fear of ending up in a wheelchair. Because my mind would, I was just a bit nuts and I would think too much. I would dwell on that sort of thing. But the upside is I was grateful and it made me empathic, it gave me empathy, towards people who were facing challenges, and that kind of spread around. And I don't know. And I would go and I would also walk around and raise money. I would collect money from my neighbors and then bring it over to in White Plains. They had the Westchester County Center. You could drop off money and I would do that. And that was fun. All right, gang. It is now 4 a.m. Holy Lord. We are flying through this. It's Labor Day weekend. We're going to have a few more flashbacks and we're going to end today's show with a very special Labor Day closing. We'll do that at 5 o'clock, just before we hand it over to Liz Radabali for the 5 a.m. newscast. All right, gang, here we go. We're going to come back. We're going to have a little bit more conversation. Phone lines will be open, 1-800-848-9222. And we will talk to you on the other side. It's Another Side of Midnight on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
Good morning, gang. How are you, family? It is 4:04 on Labor Day weekend, Labor Day Sunday, the day that I would wake up and get ready. My entire Labor Day Sunday, it would begin with the pit of my stomach being all sour and stressed because I knew that summer was over and I had to go to school. And then I would remember, wait, no, 6 o'clock. Jerry's on and we've got the telethon, and I would be so excited. I couldn't wait. Charlie Callis, Foster Brooks, Don Rickles, Tom Jones, Norm, I said his name earlier. Norm Crosby. Thank you, Tony. Norm Crosby. Charo, the Carpenter, Sammy, Dean, eventually Frank. Frank would then that famous year when Frank brought Jerry and Dean back together again. That remains one of the greatest moments, not just in showbiz, one of the greatest moments in American history. Right there. Love it.
Listen, I have a friend who loves what you do every year and who just wanted to come out and say, would you send my friend out, please? Where is he? We just send him out here. Come here.
Here comes Dean. He's got a cigarette going. Comes out all bashful. First time in public.
All right, break it up.
Break it
up. What is this here? Break it up. I think it's about time, don't you?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's about time. We folk.
Should have been a Jew that did it.
We could whip the world without the guns of Navarro. There they are, folks.
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
So how you been?
How you been? So how you been? Oh, Joe.
You know, it seems like we haven't seen each other for 20 years.
Well, you know, there was all those rumors about our breaking up, and then when I started the show and you weren't here, I believed it.
I'll show you guys to your room if you like. The lights are out upstairs, so follow me if you like.
Oh, he drinks a lot, this kid.
So you working?
I work 6 weeks a year at the Megam.
The Megam?
The MGM. He had his contract at the MGM at that point.
Roast, and
would you excuse us a minute?
So, these guys, man, first of all, if you have not watched the best example of Jerry and Dean together, there's clips all over YouTube, and I'm a lunatic. I've got a box set of DVDs for like 20 years now of the Colgate Comedy Hour. Colgate Comedy Hour was a weekly, hourly broadcast that would actually rotate celebrity guest hosts. And the Colgate Comedy Hour, the best episodes of that were when they were hosted by Dean and Jerry. And we're talking about like the very late 40s, certainly into the 50s. I don't know if it was 40s, certainly the 50s. And absolutely drop dead, hysterical, beautiful choreographed comedy. Absolutely amazing, with a lot of improv, a lot of ad-libbing. Dean and Jerry as time has gone by, so much of what they did has been lost to the annals of time and showbiz. But my God, you want to see some truly profound, fierce, funny comedy. Jerry Lewis, he goes through that phase later in his career. It was all about France, and he's a little bit too serious and he's a bit pompous, and Jerry becomes this caricature of an off-duty comic when he gets all serious, and he's on Dick Cavett, and you see Jerry breaking down comedy, and he gets a bit erudite. Okay. Amazing.
Know me, baby. I ain't gonna change. Till that lucky day, you know, down.
Oh, this is Dean and Frank playing after they're on the telethon, right? This is Dean and Frank after they reunited.
You're just
too marvelous, marvelous for words.
Not yet. Glorious,
glamorous, and that old standby amorous.
It's all too wonderful. Not too loud.
Interesting thing about Dean. Dean did not actually, in the real prime time, in the real prime years, Dean did not drink on stage. Dean drank Martinelli's apple juice because he liked it, and it looked the closest thing to scotch or scotch or bourbon. And he drank that. It was safe. He wouldn't actually get lit. Later on in his life, he did drink too much, especially after his son Dean Jr. died in a plane crash, I believe. That knocked him out. That ruined Dean. But I tell you what, Jerry Lewis these days does not get the credit that he deserves as just one of the absolute, if not Mount Rushmore, the tiniest Hall of Fame of great comedy in America. He's just one of the all-time best, funniest, most creative, fiercely hysterical human beings. And, actually, why don't we open the lines and why don't we see if anybody else has their own Mount Rushmore? While we're talking about variety and stuff, we've got a couple of minutes before we take our break and talk to Dean Wigington, and we get into our conspiratorial conversation. It's 412 1-800-848-9222 1-800-848-9222. Who broke you up? Oh,
of how to start the show, to keep you here, to let you know.
This is Jerry doing his talking, singing.
Can tell how swell you've been. Because of you, we've just got to win. Each year it's clear you're here, cause you're the best.
He really couldn't sing,
so
but you had to love it.
Find a cure, we will never rest. Though words are merely words, let me say that it's true. I do love all of you.
Oof, I've heard better songs. I said he was one of the greatest comics, not songwriters, or singers. But, he's just way, way underrated as far as comedy goes. And, again, 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-WABC. If you had a comic, if we could get if the lines, we can get the lines cooking for a couple minutes here before we go to our break. If you had a comic that you, who goes from that era? I got Jonathan Winters for you. I got, who's an underrated stand-up? And we've had clips. I've got clips somewhere. Maybe next week we'll play some clips of, some great old stand-up. Woody Allen. And I know he got weird. A lot of comics get weird. I got weird. All right? I got weird. We talked about that last night. Talk about it every Saturday morning we talk about that. But anyway, while Woody did definitely get weird eventually, his stand-up was clinic in comedy. Absolutely amazing stand-up. And really could not.
About a car that in Ford days. There it is. There's the twitch. The twitch always follows the tingle. The tingle, then the twitch, and there goes the eye.
The tingle?
See? There goes the eye. The left eye, first the twitch.
Definitely find, gang, if you have time tomorrow, definitely go to YouTube and find those clips that Bill's been playing for us of the telethon. Definitely do that. There's some great stuff. And take a look, do a little search, and find the Colgate Comedy Hour. When you find the Colgate Comedy Hour, you will see some amazing bits, some great numbers by Dean, some great sketches, Dean and Jerry, and some of the funniest physical comedy that you're ever going to see. Ever. And again, you just can't touch it. But 1-800-848-9222. If you had a comic that you love, who's on your Mount Rushmore? We've only got a couple of minutes, then we've got to take a break. But in the couple of minutes, this would be a sort of a rapid fire thing if you had one. Thanks. If you had one or two from your Mount Rushmore, who's your funny? Who's your go-to? Do you totally dismiss Henny Youngman? I don't know. I can get into a Henny Youngman moment. I can do that. What's that joke of his? Guy goes to the doctor. Doctor gave him 6 months to live. He couldn't pay the bill. Doctor gave him another 6 months. Something like that. Henny was fantastic for those. There's in a hallway here at WABC. This place is fascinating, by the way. All of the people who have walked through these hallways and in previous locations, those hallways, the people that Mr. Katsimatidis knows. I mean, it's incredible. But on one of the walls in one of the hallways here, I bumped into a beautiful portrait of Alan King, of all people, the great comic, the great Borscht Belt Jewish comic, Alan King. Let's get over to Diane, line 3. Diane.
Moms Mabley.
Wow, look at you, Moms Mabley. Look at you with your sophisticated choice. Tell everybody who Moms Mabley was. Di?
And hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Take it over again. Tell everybody about Mom. We missed what you said. Tell everybody about Moms.
Old, black, toothless woman who was filthy and hilarious.
Yeah, she was great.
Hilarious.
Wasn't she? I remember seeing her on Laugh-In. She was also, I think, a regular on Ed Sullivan, right?
Well, I'm not sure exactly where I saw her, but I just remember seeing her.
Yeah, she was great, and she worked a famous black comedy circuit called the Chitlin Circuit, which was down south, and that was legendary, amazing stuff. Red Fox. There were, unfortunately, I'm blank. Well, no, I'm sorry. Wait. Red Fox, Slappy White. There were some legendary comics back in the day, and they would get blue. They would work blue, and.
I'd like to tell you, Moms, it's just great having you on our show tonight.
Honey, and it's great being on your show. Oh, yes, I enjoy listening to you and your dumb brother.
Oh, the Smothers Brothers. You and your dumb brother. Yes?
You know who else was really hilarious? On the Carol Burnett show. Those guys that she had?
Sure, Tim Conway and Harvey Korman.
Oh, my God.
Killer.
Tim Conway
Killer.
and Marty,
They were the best.
Amazing.
Diane, thank you so much. Thank you for that quick call. I do appreciate it. All right, everybody. It's 4:19. We're going to take our break now. When we come back, we're going to have a fascinating conversation about chemtrails and other things that you and I both know are there, but we don't quite know a lot about them. Dane Wigington is going to fill in those blanks for us when we come back. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
Joining us now here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC is Dane Wigington. Dane Wigington is a former energy industry professional. He's the lead researcher behind geoengineeringwatch.org. Everyone go there at some point. Check out geoengineeringwatch.org. That's a platform dedicated to exposing all of what he alleges are covert climate energy engineering. Listen to me. It's so early in the morning. Operations. Dane, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us here on Another Side of Midnight.
Thanks for your willingness to address what's taking place in our skies today,
yes,
which is becoming ever harder to hide, even with official denial.
Everybody's catching on to it, man. This thing went from being an Art Bell coast to coast type of closed circle, those who know kind of conversation to now there's soccer moms on Facebook posting pictures of chemtrails.
Not a moment too soon. The damage already done cannot be overstated. Every day these operations are allowed to continue will manifest that damage even further. It's not just environmental and climate damage. It's contaminating every single breath we take, and we know that from extensive lab testing over many years.
Tell me about your professional experience and how that brought you into your initial stages of skepticism. When did your eyes open, and to what did they open?
Yeah, this is the last thing I wanted to do for the last 20 years of my life. I was comfortably retired in Northern California, off-grid home, Northern California. With my background in solar, my home has solar, hydro, and wind power. And no sooner did I complete this project, which was the cover article for the world's largest renewable energy magazine, by the way. My home was on the cover. I was losing massive amounts of solar power uptake from whatever these aircraft were emitting, and I knew that couldn't be just, quote, condensation. I began to research the issue, found mountains of data that I was surprised I had not seen before, looked for the primary elements named in climate engineering patents, starting with aluminum nanoparticles. Aluminum, by the way, is toxic to all life forms, no exceptions. I began to test my rain. Hoped I would not find aluminum in my rain. I did. The elevation of that metal kept climbing over the course of many months. With enough research and testing in, I was forced to face the fact this was definitely going on in the skies above me, and I can't look the other way. I've been at this for 20 plus years now, TJ.
Okay, so you went from from seeing what everybody else was seeing. What was some of the specific evidence or the observations that led you to that evidence along the way?
Well, the evidence we have now, I mean, it's absolutely irrefutable. We have up-close film footage of these aircraft at altitude, nozzles visible, turning dispersions on and off.
Nozzles visible. Nozzles visible. So those people that say, it's vapor, you've got evidence of nozzles.
We have up-close photographs as well of the retrofit nozzles mounted on wing pylons aimed into the exhaust jet stream, which the disinformation debunking people claim, that's just to drain excess jet fuel into the jet exhaust stream. Really, if you want to blow the plane up, that would be a good thing to do. They come up with any excuse imaginable to explain this away. And think about this, TJ. We have the entire global climate science community and governments all over the world discussing their desire to do this immediately, to put jets in the sky, to spray light-scattering particles to slow down the warming of the planet. But, you're not seeing what you're seeing. That's not really happening, even though anybody that's not clinically blind can see it. And, TJ, we took, at the cost of over $100K, a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration flying lab to altitude, top scientists in it, sampled what heavy aircraft were emitting, processed that at Rinster Polytechnic in New York, world-renowned lab, found exactly what we knew we would find, starting with aluminum nanoparticles.
We're talking to Dane Wigington here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, 1-800-848-9222 on 77 WABC. Dane, we've got government government said in the last, you correct me, 6 months, a year, all of a sudden we started hearing them copping to this notion that, yeah, sure, we're going to do our best to go out and reflect light back at the sun. And so, yeah, so you people might be seeing some stuff. Was this because there was becoming a critical mass of evidence led by people like yourself? Because were they feeling that they were getting caught and they had to let some air out of the balloon, as it were?
It's getting close to a critical mass. It's becoming almost impossible to hide, but they're still doing their best to stamp out this issue. I've had interview requests from BBC, National Geographic, New York Times, USA Today. All of those requests were stomped out before they reached fruition. And I've had cooperation with people like Chuck Norris. Chuck did 3 articles working with me. He was given a warning, if you will. I know from a mutual friend to leave this issue alone, and we've never heard another word from Chuck. I worked with Merle Haggard, and he was working with Willie Nelson. They were going to help us bring this issue to light. They were given a warning as well before Merle passed. And again, they're going to try to hide this as long as they can, because the moment the public becomes fully aware of what's been done in our skies, every single climate cataclysm becomes a liability to anyone and everyone involved. They know it. They know that's the pitchforks and torches moment when the public fully wakes up to this. And about the contamination in every breath we take, these are nanoparticles. They're incredibly bioavailable and bioaccumulative. And now we have these same particles, based on peer-reviewed science studies, showing up everywhere in human organs, for example, and they're blaming it on only decomposing plastics.
I was going to say, that sounds like microplastics that's become all the rage.
Exactly. You're exactly right. But what they don't tell you is one of the primary elements named in climate engineering patents are polymer fibers, a nanoplastic, which when they published those damning reports about microplastics, they weren't even covering nanoplastics, which are smaller still and more detrimental still. And when we recovered our samples and tested at Rincer Polytechnic directly from heavy aircraft emissions, the particles we found were manufactured. They can identify that in that lab, which means not just decomposing plastics. That's why you have them everywhere from North Pole, South Pole, top of Mount Everest. They're everywhere. They're ubiquitous in the environment. So you can't separate climate engineering from this issue. And we're not denying decomposing plastics. We've trashed this planet in countless ways. It's just criminal to omit this giant elephant in the equation. For anybody who cares about the environment, the food they eat, the water they drink, the air they breathe, we have to address this issue.
So in other words, the microplastics, the nanoplastics, they have become so prevalent because they're caught up in the natural cycle of the earth. Tell me about some of these other elements that are popping up. So we'll stipulate about the nanoplastics. What else is showing up in your testing? What else is in the air and in the atmosphere now?
Aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, surfactants. People see foaming rain or foaming runoff in places. That's because there's surfactants in this mix as well. That's all listed in the climate engineering patents. The last 100 tests we took working with the University of Minnesota all contain graphene. Graphene in our rain. Graphene is used for countless uses that are none of them benevolent, but we have geoengineering patents that specifically name graphene, climate engineering, ice nucleating patents. So, TJ, you remember when the blizzard in New Orleans last January? Mm-hmm. They heavily sensationalized that. Blizzard in New Orleans, blizzards in Florida, blizzards on the Gulf Coast. Yep. Chemical ice nucleation means you can seed clouds with chemically nucleating elements that create a frozen precipitation event out of what should have been a liquid precipitation event. Those are patented processes. Chinese government openly stated on the record, everyone covered it, every major media source covered it, that they were creating snowstorms with these types of elements. And yet, if you bring it up here, you're treated like a tinfoil hat wearing nutcase. What didn't they tell us when there was a blizzard in New Orleans that exact day, January 21st of this year? It was above freezing and raining throughout much of the polar regions, Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Siberia. So again, look here, don't look there. They're trying to skew people's perception of how much damage is actually done to the climate while at the same time inflicting even more damage. This is an immediate existential threat. People need to look up, wake up, and do some research.
We're having a fascinating conversation with Dane Wigington here on Another Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. Again, if you want to dig deeper into what Dane does and knows, you go to geoengineeringwatch.org, where there you can also find more information about his documentary, The Dimming. We're talking about the geoengineering operations. When I think about the word destabilization, it sounds like somebody's behind it. It sounds like there's a reason. It's a means to an end.
The stated purpose for these operations: solar radiation management, cloud albedo enhancement, stratospheric aerosol injection. Those are the science terms. We stick to those terms to gain traction. The chemtrails term is fine for personal conversations. It's completely destructive for anything beyond that. That's the incident marginalization term. Stick to the science term. So the stated purpose, to block some of the sun's incoming thermal energy to slow the warming of the planet.
Right.
What else does it do? Destroys the ozone layer, completely disrupts the hydrological cycle, and traps more heat than it deflects. And TJ, for the whole green community that's pushing renewable energy on us, it's not renewable, but it's alternative energy. And again, part of my background, I've been off-grid for 25 years, solar, wind, and hydro. Climate engineering radically disrupts and diminishes all three forms of alternate energy. Blocks the sun, diminishing. Commercial solar plants are making half their design output because of climate engineering operations blocking the sun. It's diminishing precipitation in dams like Hoover Dam, Page Canyon Dam in the southwest, with about 40 million people dependent on that power, because it's blocking the hydrological cycle.
Yeah.
And it alters wind flows, which is rendering the wind turbine farms useless. So again, how come the green community isn't talking about this issue?
And yet at the same time, as you're describing some of this stuff to my virgin ears, I could have almost attributed half of this stuff to the green community. There's some extremists out there on all sides of every issue.
Yes.
The ends justify everything. I'll paint the picture for you, right? One time I needed to make some extra money. In my adult life, I needed to make some extra money. I was actually pushing a car around an airport service. I was driving for an airport. So I'd say this is about maybe 20 years ago, right? This guy is in my car. We're having a conversation about politics, about the world, like you do. You shoot the breeze in that scenario. And this guy, who almost appropriately had a German accent. He's telling me about overpopulation of the world. And the overpopulation of the world is very, very bad for the survival of the planet. And so, you lose some people. It's not such a bad thing. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, are you telling me that you're okay with, the conversation was a lot more in depth, but basically at one point I said, so you're telling me you're okay if people start kind of falling by the wayside because too many people here is not good. And he says, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is too many people is not good for the planet. So I was in the presence at least once of a Looney Tune who was totally okay with depopulation from an environmental perspective. I paint that little picture to say there are different things that we can talk about that are very, very nefarious, that some people could say, well, it's a means to an end. We got to save the planet, don't we? So, a few people getting sick, that's not so bad. So a long way to go to set the table for you to tell me who could be behind some of this stuff on any given side of different issues.
That's a very important tidbit you've shared, and it is absolutely a part of this equation. And I want to stress that climate engineering is not just a this or that scenario. There's many agendas being carried out, and you just alluded to one. So bottom line is, when we have former advisor to U.S. presidents, starting with President Johnson, and this individual lived until 2017, advising presidents all along the way, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Your listeners can look this up.
Yeah.
What he stated on the record with, quote, "With today's technology, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control them," end quote, from a U.S. presidential advisor. There is no question that biological experimentation is a part of these operations. There's no question about that. As of 1977, as far back as 1977 from the Washington Post, they acknowledged on the record that even that far back, the U.S. military had conducted no less than 239 open-air biological tests on innocent, unknowing U.S. civilians. How many have they done since that point in time? So again, two of the elements in the precipitation, polymer fibers and graphene, are used militarily as biological carrier platforms. What's that mean? It means to carry a pathogen from the clouds to the ground. We have the second most recognized climate engineer, Dr. Ken Caldera, former Department of Defense scientist, that we own an audio of him stating in his words, what he did for the U.S. DOD was to design methods of spraying pathogens into clouds to infect the populations below. Do these dots not all connect? We had 85 countries infected in 3 days on the CB19 outbreak. That's indicative of airborne dispersion. We have Italian researchers that found CB19 attached to airborne particulates. Again, we can't know the true depth of what's happening in our skies. We do know it is nothing but malevolent, and we are all going to pay the price if it's allowed to continue.
That voice you hear is Dane Wigington. He's taking his place in the gold medal platform in the Another Side of Midnight award ceremony. Very pragmatic question. How do the people delivering these pathogens and carcinogens, they're putting themselves in harm's way? Are there people on this planet who are so powerful and so in the know that they are, for lack of a better term, inoculated from this behavior? In other words, are there people that are safe from what you're telling us that we're all being infected by?
We don't know of any means that they could completely exempt themselves from the consequences of what they're doing, but let's look at some of the consequences of what they have already done to themselves, because that's a primary question that so many people ask. This can't be going on because who are they?
Right.
They are those who print the money. They control militaries, thus they control governments, thus they control the whole game. So bottom line is, what have they done to themselves already? They've detonated 2,400 plus nuclear bombs. That contaminated everything and everyone, including them, and they're building more now. So we have Fukushima, that's a triple nuclear meltdown.
Right.
No technology to fix it, no end in sight. Extinction level event by itself if other factors don't do the job first, which I would argue on the current course will be the case. And they're building 60 more nuke plants right now. There's 442 online, all of which will go into meltdown as society collapses. And again, we have data now available from, for example, the Nevada nuclear tests that Americans didn't know about at the time. We have peer-reviewed study now to prove that no less than 700,000, I think the figure was 695,000, Americans died as a direct effect from that, the downwinders they're called. Mm-hmm. And even with the soldiers, we see the historical film footage of the soldiers were told to jump out of your trench and run toward the blast center. And that's what they did. They all died early, painful deaths because of that. So again, those in power, we're not dealing with sanity, and we have psychoanalysis, TJ, of those in power. And here's the common thread. This is straight out of the manual. Quote, a near total lack of comprehension as to the consequences of their actions, even to themselves. We're not dealing with sanity. We're dealing with power addicts, headless, heartless, soulless cancer. That's who's in control.
Talking to Dane Wigington on Another Side of Midnight, 1-800-848-9222. If you've heard this stuff before, if this is the kind of thing that you live for, if you don't believe any of this, 1-800-848-9222. Dane, you mentioned the they. Is this an offshoot of, again, we're putting our Art Bell hats on again, which is a great hat to wear. It's always in fashion. For this time of morning, especially this kind of conversation, are we talking the Bilderberger thing? Is this that deep state Bilderberger Freemason? I'm just going to throw that big wide net for this time of the morning. Is this what we're talking about? Is there a possibility that there is something positive here? I mean, I'm being totally insane with that question. Is there an argument that somebody could make that there is a positive thing here? In other words, if they were put on trial, what would they say they were doing in our benefit?
No, it's a very appropriate question,
okay,
TJ. And so let me back into that.
Okay.
First, you have the power structure programmed so-called climate science community, and again, I'm not denying damage done to the planet. We've been horrific stewards of planet Earth. We're trashing our nest, and we're going to pay the price for that. But they have been taught, trained, programmed to believe that these programs, the climate engineering operations, are necessary. They term it a risk-to-risk scenario, the risk of doing it versus the risk of not doing it. And they take none of the consequences into account, which are far more horrific. Look at the pharmaceutical commercials, TJ, that you see for, take this for a certain symptom, and by the way, here's the 50 downstream side effects, which are really, they're not side effects, they're undesired direct effects. And when you listen to that commercial, you wonder who would take that pharmaceutical. And the next commercial is a law firm saying if you took last week's pharmaceutical and now you're permanently damaged, you can sue. And that's the mentality here.
Yeah.
So, again, we have people participating in the system that have long since lost their sense of reason, so they would try to convince us there's something benevolent here. There's nothing benevolent here. This is about power and control, and we see these operations being systematically used on agricultural regions, absolutely systematically targeted. Flash drought, flash hail, flash flood, flash freeze, which they can chemical freeze now. Again, these are patented processes. TJ, you've seen, in a first aid kit you can have sitting on a shelf at room temperature for 20 years, and you mix the ice pack chemicals together, you have an ice pack
instantly,
right?
Right.
Same thing on an atmospheric scale. And again, back to the money printers and your question about who they are, all roads lead to those who print the money, period. How is it the Pentagon's missing $30 trillion in the last 20 years that we know of? Where did that money even come from? We have no idea how much they're printing or where it's going. So again, those who control the purse strings control it all, period.
Dane Wigington is the voice and the mind behind geoengineeringwatch.org. We're talking on Another Side of Midnight here on 77 WABC. Dane, we know for a fact now that the Chinese government, for example, has been buying up farmland throughout the United States, and almost without exception, that farmland abuts, amazingly, military installations, a lot of Air Force bases. Is there any connection at all between foreign governments getting a real estate foothold in the United States with what you're talking about here? Is that like another wing of this conversation?
We know all major powers are colluding and cooperating in climate engineering behind the curtain. We have U.S. Senate documents, one of them 800 pages long, going all the way back to 1978, specifically calling for and outlining the, quote, cooperation between otherwise adversarial nations on this issue, climate engineering, because of the cross-border ramifications. It cannot be otherwise. They're definitely all working together on this for their own purposes. And you outlined one of those with the passenger you had 20 years ago. They know they can no longer sustain their populations. And so, again, whatever other surface conflicts and friction we may see between superpowers, and now that may be, in fact, morphing into atmospheric conflict between these same powers, just like mafia families that collude and cooperate to a point until there's not enough to go around, then they start to infight. We may be in that phase now. But we have congressional documents, again, in the case of the one I mentioned, 800 pages long, and your listeners can look at that. We're not asking anybody to believe anything we say at geoengineeringwatch.org. We're pleading with them to actually investigate. So that document they can find, geoengineeringwatch.org, massive Senate document. They'll find the important sections highlighted already. We're a massive data repository. The proof is absolutely indisputable. And yes, we have many causes and concerns, valid causes and concerns that we could focus our time and energy on. This is the biggest hole in the bottom of the boat, short of nuclear cataclysm. And even then, this is related because it's destroying our protective layers of the atmosphere, which leaves us susceptible to a large coronal mass ejection, a CME, or solar flare. That shuts down grids around the globe. Now we have Fukushima times 100, 200. So it's connected even to nuclear everything. If we don't deal with this, all other causes and concerns will very soon be moot points. Ship goes down, and we're all passengers on it.
Wow. I could go on for days with you. Dane Wigington, let me ask you this. Without even asking a question, I'm just going to say a word and let you take it wherever it needs to go in this conversation. COVID.
Okay, this is, again, a sampling of what may be in store for us all very soon.
Okay.
So I mentioned earlier, polymer fibers and graphene are a part of the dispersion mix right now above our heads. We're inhaling these nanoparticles. We know they're experimenting with many other pathogens like Ebola and Marburg. Those are lethal pathogens, 90% mortality. What's to stop the powers that be that once they're losing control, once we reach the pitchforks and torches moment, the public is waking up, what's to stop them from using the already existing dispersion platforms with already existing elements in them that can carry Ebola or Marburg to the surface and level the playing field? Why would we think they wouldn't do that when they become desperate enough?
You were one of the first people I was pursuing when I took over this program, Another Side of Midnight. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I had no idea how fascinating this would be. Dane Wigington, everyone, go right now to geoengineeringwatch.org. Learn more about Dane's work. Also, go and find his documentary, The Dimming. Go to geoengineeringwatch.org. Dane Wigington, it's not goodbye. It's just so long till next time. Definitely need to have you back and continue the conversation and take it in a few other directions. Very grateful for you joining us here on 77 WABC.
Deepest gratitude to you, DJ, and your listeners. Thank you for your voice in this battle. Greatly needed.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack, 77 WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormack.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
I opened for a lot of people. I mentioned before, I here on the show, I opened for Dionne Warwick. I played with, Celine Dion. I opened for a lot of people. Paul Anka was a difficult open. That was well, first of all, the guy's got more money. You talk about blank you money. This guy's written every song, every jingle, and he's still going. He's out there. He's like, he doesn't look his age at all. And this was 20 years ago when I was with him, but he's still out there performing as far as I know. But Paul Anka is one of those people who has written, he's like Barry Manilow. He's written jingles. He's written commercial, song. Anyway, the thing with Paul Anka, first of all, it was down south. We played a few of these like Gulf Coast casinos, and he has so much money. I think he was based either in New Orleans or Memphis. He would fly in on a private jet. Like you and I would commute, you and I would drive to the gig or whatever. I flew in from LA, I stayed in a hotel, and I rented a car, and I drove to the different casinos, and I stayed, and I worked. He would do the show, out to the airport, get onto the jet, and fly to wherever he was based that week or that month. And then fly back in. I mean, blank you money all over the place, Paul Anka. And the thing with him was, I never knew how much time I was doing as a comic. I never knew how much time I was doing to open for him. It changed every show. I had to wrap it up as soon as I saw his manager flash a flashlight from the back of the room. That was the time frame. That's what I had to do. I never knew. And for a comic, you got to know how much time you're doing, because that way you can plan it. That way you can do your act. I never, ever knew. And I'd be in the middle of a bit, and I didn't do jokes. I told stories. What we call chunks. I had chunks of material. And I could be, and his manager told me, as soon as you see this light, you got to go. And as soon as Paul Anka said he wanted to go on the air, bam, they'd flash that light, and I could be in the middle of a big chunk. Have to wrap it right there. More money than God. And by the way, speaking of a big chunk, here you go. 18. 3, 18, 22, 27, 33. And the Powerball 17. No winners. No winners in the $1 billion Powerball last night. These are the winning numbers: 3, 18, 22, 27, 33. The Powerball was 17. Nobody won. As of 11:30 last night, the jackpot stood, and it's going to grow, $1.10 billion. 1.10 billion dollarinos. Woof! That's a lot of lettuce. That's a lot of mugu gai pan. That's a lot of oatmeal. These are all words that should be money. That's a lot of dumplings. That's a lot of cabbage. $1 billion. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm relieved that there were no winners, because I had it on my wife, the bombshell. She loves playing the lotto. Every now and then when it gets up to the big numbers, she digs that. She loves having the tickets. Matter of fact, I put the app on my phone just to be able to buy, because I never remember to go out and do it for the big ones. So I have it on my phone. It's not nearly as fun to just have it on the phone. You got to have the tickets. You got to have the paper. There's no fun with like a digital version of it. So yeah, 1.10 billion billion is the number. Line 1, David in Pennsylvania. What's up?
TJ, very interesting guest you had on. I've never heard anybody as interesting as your last guest.
Thank you.
And the microplastic. Now, Lake Erie is Pittsburgh's backyard. That's what it's advertised as.
Mm-hmm.
How bad is the microplastic problem in Lake Erie and the Great Lakes?
Ooh.
Do you know?
I do not, but I tell you what, according to Dane Wigington, it's gone beyond microplastics and it's not new. Apparently it's so prevalent, the level of plastics that are in our systems, that it's generational now, that it's already so pervasive in our systems that what we're talking about now all the time when we sort of this modern conversation about microplastics, it's already an old subject. It's already missing the mark.
In the scientific community, I suppose. Hey, I heard there were carp in Lake Erie, and I guess the microplastics are in the fish up there. You can't really eat them.
Right.
You shouldn't. People are part plastic now, I suppose, from consuming the plastic. It's in the environment. I mean,
I'm telling you, buddy, they're talking about it being in our blood systems, in our brains, in our God knows what we've done to ourselves. You know, David, I don't know, but yes, Dane Wigington is a fascinating guy, and you got to go check out that website. Thanks for calling in, David. I do appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. And thank you for the compliment. Dane was a good get. Dane was difficult to get down, to track down, to get on the show. He's very in demand. And, so it took really since when I started this in May. Since May, I've been trying to get Dane on the show. And, finally this morning took care of that. So that was great. So a little bit later today, I'm I'm doing kind of a basic Labor Day thing. We got a friend of ours, family's invited us over, me and the girls and the Bombshell. We're going over to a barbecue at somebody's house. That'd be nice. I'm going to indulge in my new thing that I copped to last. I admitted I'm enjoying cigars these days. That tells me. See, by the way, here it is, 4:57 in the morning, and I'm thinking about having a cigar this afternoon. Where's the addict? Find the addict right here. I can't wait. So do we have that song, by the way, for the end? All right. We might as well fire it up. Gang, it's Labor Day, and Jerry would end that.
When you walk
this is Jerry
through a storm, keep your head up high.
Watch it later today.
And don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone.
I'll see you guys next week. I wish you all the luck in the world. Thank you, Bill and Tony. Liz Radabali's up next. Have a great Sunday. All the luck in the world.
It's Another Side of Midnight. 77 WABC.